Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Design Therapy, your community and outlet for all things creative. I'm your host, Cassie Patterson, a brand strategist and creative designer in Nashville, Tennessee. And on this episode, I have the very lovely and talented Alexandra Pearson, who is not only a sculptor, artist, she's also an educator. Welcome to this episode.
Hi, thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. I've been making lots of art, so this is a great time to be talking about it.
Yeah. Have you been doing a lot of new projects since COVID-19 has hit the world?
Yes, I have actually done a lot of things, and I've gotten back into things because I've had extra time. So
what do you got cooking up in there? What are some new projects you're working on?
So just right on the other side of this setup I've got is ceramic stuff on my dining room table. So I was able to bring a wheel from work to my house, and I've been making pottery and just kind of getting back to what I really love, which is fussing over like a coffee mug for a day, you know.
I love that.
My favorite thing to do.
Yes. Well, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about you and who you are and your history as an artist?
Okay, well, so I've been an artist for as long as I can remember. It was the only thing I wanted to do growing up, and it was my favorite class, and in school. And so I knew that at some point I knew that I had it, and my parents were able to, let me do it, and it got me a couple of really good painting teachers along the way, and I was oil painting really young.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I went to art class every year in high school. Like, it was always one of my electives, but I didn't really do anything in college for several years because I was a biology major.
Yeah.
So at some point I switched my major. Long story short, I ended up getting a ceramics degree. And then I kind of like wanted to work in education and wanted to work in like formal education. So I got an art history degree thinking about working in museums. And then that was during the recession, and I couldn't get a job. And people were losing their jobs. So I ended up going to where I met you in Memphis to get my master's in ceramics. And
I remember your studio like it was yesterday.
That was such a nice space. It was really.
You had a great space.
Yeah, and I had great people in there with me through the couple of years, however many years, 3 years, and I learned a lot. And I got to teach some, and that was fun. And I kind of understood, like, it made me realize I like teaching adults, but I really like teaching kids too. So yeah.
That's amazing. So where do you think your creative journey began?
Probably when I was really little. One of the first things I remember doing was just drawing. And I had these books that someone must have given me that taught you how to draw an animal by using, the different ovals.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I drew some horses, and I had.
That's what I was going to say. I drew a horse a lot.
But there was one picture of kittens in a basket. And it was cute. Like, this was the goal. So I skipped a lot of the how to draw animals, and I went to these kittens in a basket, and I just drew them. And I remember really liking just sitting with the pencil. It's quiet. It was I didn't have to, I didn't have to play sports or be on a team. I could just create.
Yeah.
So that's probably where it began. I don't think I have memories before that of art. So yeah.
That's beautiful. So where do you find your inspiration daily? Where how do you get motivated to create, all these pieces? I know that you said you've been doing a lot of new projects in the last 2 months. Like, where do you find that creativity every day?
I have this need to just be busy all the time, I think. And so part of it is I have to keep my hands busy. And so a good way to do that is to create something. But like lately I really, like, I see other people working. Social media, shows me my friends along the way that are making art and doing on projects. And then also people that I don't know that I really like, and seeing, what they're making on Instagram and stuff like that. I think that kind of inspires me. Also really like to learn new things. And so it's all, for me, it's all about just the process. So like, I'm inspired when I get to learn something new.
Do you feel like there's like any kind of historical influences on your art, or present day influences,
Um,
in the
I
fashion, music, industry, or anything else that you
definitely, yeah, fashion, of course. My thesis work and what I have worked on since then, whether in ceramics or painting or whatever, has been around women and corsets in the history of these like big, beautiful dresses and
Mm-hmm.
all the decoration. And so that's definitely, I do like to, I'll look up just like 19th century costumes or sewing patterns. There's always a drawing on that pattern, so I look a lot at those drawings of those
Mm-hmm.
clothing. And then in the art world, the 19th century, like the pre-Raphaelites and the Art Nouveau, and arts and crafts, like the wallpaper designers,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, influences me. And also decorative objects like silver, tea services, and furniture. Like I'm really interested in looking at how a furniture designer decided to make the foot. There's so many different
Mm-hmm.
feet of like chairs or a table, and they're fascinating. So that's some of the stuff I look at, and I think it comes through in the patterning and the decoration that I include in the artwork.
I know you said that you have a lot of like art, you have that art history past as well. Is there a certain time frame, like that you were just saying that you really kind of hone in on, like maybe a certain decade, or what would you say that would be for you?
Um, just off the top of my head, probably 1890s, which is a little bit later than some of the art that I was just mentioning. That's more like mid 19th century. But
Mm-hmm.
I think just the excess of that decade and some of the fads, I guess, or the fashion fads that came out of that decade are so interesting. I just think the movie Moulin Rouge.
Oh,
So
yes. I love that
yeah,
movie.
yeah. So that's that time period. And I think everybody living during that time were kind of living to the max
Mm-hmm.
because 1900 was coming, and that was like a big, big
Shift.
shift. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that there's so many different mediums of expression and fabric and texture and material that was used at that time. There was like a lot of different mixture of soft versus, this metal and steel and this industrial age.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
It's
so duet.
fun. It's a fun juxtaposition. It's
It
like,
is.
it's kind of like steampunk. You've got
Mm-hmm.
these like really fanciful, beautiful objects, but they're made out of like gears
Yeah.
or some sort of industrial steel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's fun.
So when you get into a project and you get very hands-on, how do you ideate your before your process? Do you kind of sketch out what you're going to do, or do you kind of like just jump in and kind of feel? What is that process like for you?
Sometimes I'll sketch, but I am a little bit more just jump into it. I think that I'll jump in if I have a new idea or a new medium. I'll jump into it and kind of explore the medium,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll sketch some once I have a
Okay.
feeling. Or if I get to a form or a pattern or a shape that I really like, then I'll start sketching and kind of expand upon that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do a whole lot of planning in the beginning beyond I want to draw a woman wearing a corset and a big hat in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of a field of blue color.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you get into a zone before you do any of this? So if you're going into it kind of just feeling and seeing what inspires you for that day, do you prep before the beginning of the day? Do you have like a routine that you get up in the morning? Or I know for me, I get up, I like to have a quiet morning and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very introverted extrovert, I know. And I'm a very solitude. I got to have my same routine in the morning, have my coffee, sit down, think about, okay, what is going to inspire me for the today, and then what projects do I have laid before me? Do you have something like that for you?
Well, I started to bullet journal during
Okay.
quarantine, and I think that's really helped me stay on track with work stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also gotten me back into some of the making that I was putting off
Mm-hmm.
before because I had written it down that I was going to do it that day. And, feels really good to kind of like exit out that it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mark
I
it off the
will,
checklist.
yes. So I've started doing that in the morning, and it's just in the last, since I've been at home working, when it was nice out, I would go outside with my bullet journal and my coffee and just plan the day
Mm-hmm.
of what I wanted to accomplish. And now I'm getting closer to going back to work because it's a little bit more sporadic.
Yeah.
But yeah, the to-do list seemed to be getting shorter, but each task is like monumental.
But you're producing more, you've produced a lot. You said like a lot
Yes.
more in the last 2 months because of
Yes.
this. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I've given myself the okay to do it, right?
Yeah.
So before, I give so much of myself to my work, my job, and it's a very creative job. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I would come home and I would just be just I was just wanted to lay on the couch and just stare,
And burnout. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I was creative all day and come home and I have the energy to do anything. I got into crochet though, not in quarantine, but like in maybe the past 5 years, and that's something I can pick up because it's kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to think about it much. Once you've started the project, it's very repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I've
um,
had that hobby as well, knitting and crocheting for sure on the side. I've
yeah,
done that through periods and phases when I just don't want to think about either have a game on my phone or I do that as well. But burnout
I,
is real. It's very
yeah. Well,
real.
at some point, now this was at a couple of jobs ago, but it was a similar type job to the one I have now. I remember going home and just playing this game on my phone every night. And I'm like, what is my life? And it's because I was so exhausted. And that's the only
Mm-hmm.
thing I could just muster up the energy to
We
just
don't want to think. You just want to do something that's, kind of helps you turn your brain off.
mindless.
I feel like us as like creatives and being able to produce all day, every single day, we start to kind of run on fumes, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same way in the graphic design industry. I have my full-time job and then also do freelance and then, doing other collaborations and projects. And it just, you get at the end of the day, 6, 7 o'clock at night, and you're like, man, I can't do any more. I just need something to
I'm
kind of
done.
unwind. Yeah. Are there other things
I'm
that you
done.
unwind with? What are some things that help you like relax since you want to put aside all your creativity?
Um, I really like music, like really calming music and incense. I'll burn incense just to kind of,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm trying to meditate, which is not so much meditation as is me allowing myself 10 minutes to do nothing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
not feel like I need to be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
I've realized lately that since I have been making a lot of art at home, I feel like I always need to be doing it. And this
Mm-hmm.
is why it's hard for me to work from home, because I feel like I always need to be working when I'm
Mm-hmm.
home.
That ends up being one
Uh,
o'clock in the morning. You're like, wait a second, I gotta get up and work in the morning.
right. Wait, I was supposed to, I'm off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to allow myself to just say, okay, this is not time to make work right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
time to relax. It's time to turn everything kind of down. So I'm trying to allow myself that time without stressing about it.
Do you ever constantly like feel like that pressure that you always have to continually produce? And we're so connected as a society now, it feels like everybody's producing 24/7. How do you find that
Yes.
balance?
Oh, that's hard, Cassie. I do feel like I need to be producing something all the time because I love it. I mean, I do love making beautiful things. And then there is that kind of instant gratification of putting something up on, Instagram or whatever and having likes because you made this beautiful thing and you get that kind of like endorphin surge. Um, so it is hard. It is hard to find it. I think that sometimes I get so busy with other parts of life, including, the full-time job, that that's when it's turned off sometimes, because I'm just too busy and I'm too cramped. My brain is too crammed with that stuff. Like if I have to do something that the worst thing in the world, the thing I hate the most in life is spreadsheets. And sometimes I got to
Don't
work
we
on a
all?
spreadsheet. Some people love them, and I don't
Most
understand
creatives
it.
don't like it.
So it's like, oh crap, I've got to work on a spreadsheet. It's not going to take me long, but it's just the whole idea of it, Oh, anyway, so yeah.
Just being able to kind of segment your life, saying this is where, I have to do this for my job, this is where I'll be creative, and this is where my downtime is, and just being able to like segment those parts of your life. Because I definitely have those issues as well, and everything kind of sometimes blends together, and then that's when I start to run out of steam, and I'm like, wait a second, what's happening?
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
I've gone months without making anything. It's definitely happened, for sure.
Yep. I've had to pull back a little bit on design because I was doing it so much. I was doing it basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I was getting so burned out, and I couldn't even, I was proud of my work. I just couldn't even showcase it because I was just like, I don't care. I don't care if you like it or not, and I'm not going to show you. I'm going to give it to the person who paid me, and I hope they like it.
Yes.
So yeah, I definitely understand for sure.
Yes. Okay.
Well, tell me who are some of your artistic influences? Are there some other artists in the industry that you really like look up to, or you like their stylization or their ideation or their thought process? Who are some other people that influence your work?
There are a lot of ceramic artists that I love, and several have kind of inspired me lately to try a different process. So I look at those kind of contemporary ceramic artists as other people like me. We have an MFA, we might teach, we might not, we might have a studio pottery business, we might not. So I look at a lot of them. And then, I really like just to look at those, all those painters from the pre-Raphaelites on to probably.
Who's your favorite?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question. I really, really like Aubrey Beardsley. I like his story. And it's a sad story, but his art, for some reason, I saw something. I don't remember. You know what it was? I do remember what it was. You'll like this. I was graphic design for like a year or two. I don't remember. It was between the pre-med and the ceramics.
I think I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. And so I had to take this history of graphic design course, which is still one of the best art history classes I've ever had. And I still probably have the textbook because, and there was a couple of prints by Beardsley that were in there because he was considered more graphic designer, commercial artist than he was anything else. So I remember just being really interested in his use of line and, this stark contrast, it's all black and white. There was no shades of gray. And some of his decoration, his patterns, his like vines and, whatever it was. And then, I've looked at some of the other, a little bit more better known, like Alphonse Mucha. I love, looking at his patterns. And then William Morris was just a fantastic designer. And so I kind of get inspired by those. But, one of the other things that I look at, and I don't color, coloring bores me. And I know a lot of people like to color, and that's great. But I get really bored with coloring, but I like coloring books. I like those really detailed coloring books just to look at the drawing.
Yeah, because it takes a lot of work to create those.
Yes, it really does. And I can't do it. That's not where I shine. I don't think I'm that intricate.
That's someone's specialization, that's what they go and they create these intricate coloring books, and it's a type of art. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people don't think that. I feel like, art is such an expansive category that the majority of society is like, oh, an artist must be a painter or they must be a photographer. There's so many different outlets for artists to express ourselves in different mediums or and acting or anything like that as well.
Yeah.
Outside of kind of more of your pottery sculpting realm, is there a type of expression that you do like?
I like just kind of mixed media, including watercolor and ink. And my job is more in the maker field than the art field. So that has the maker field has opened my eyes to another level. Like, art is part of it, but there's so many other things. So I really enjoy some of the things I'm learning from that area, like including light, like lighting up your paintings, lighting up your sculpture, making something that moves.
More experiential design.
Yes. So I'm kind of interested in like multimedia, using like whatever. It's opened my mind to the fact that like I can use, like, this is a piece of cardboard sitting on my table that is left over from a project. I can use whatever I want. Like, there's no limitation on what you can use as a material for the most part. So I like playing. I think of it as playing. So like, I'll play with the materials, I'll play with the art, media or whatever. If I saw something yesterday, like, a Twitter is so great because you can go in there and see so much stuff like in this field, but I'll see stuff on Twitter and I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, and there's so much stuff that's shared, which is great. So,
and you have to have that childlike, imagination. You have to be able to just let go of all of these restrictions that you've been taught, or it's behaviors that has saying it should be this way, and just let yourself explore. I love that.
Yeah, I work in a children's museum, so
I love it. Yeah.
I preach play.
Yes.
And I have to give myself or allow myself to play, and I think that's what is the problem with a lot of people, and why they're not happy, is because they're not allowing any play in their lives, because we're adults, we're not supposed to play. But yes, we are
producing.
Figure out how, right, it's not all about making money. Figure out about what makes you happy too. I'm blessed and like so lucky that it's the same thing for me, but a lot of other people it's not. But you've got to find something somewhere you allow yourself to play. My dad is wanting right now, he just retired, is wanting to buy a car to take apart and put back together. I mean, you have to just give yourself that time. And don't tell me you don't have the time, because I'm sure that there are 10 minutes in the day that you're staring at Facebook. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Right.
Or the TV, turn the TV
or the
off.
TV.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
don't tell me you don't have the time.
I love that. Yes. Oh, finding the artist within ourselves again,
Yes. Art is definitely play, and I feel like I'm able to keep that, because I'm not some famous artist that has to make certain things. I don't make art to sell. If people want to buy it, great. So I have that allowance to just, especially now that I'm not in school and I don't have deadlines, if I want to work on one little detail all day, it's fine. Nobody cares.
No deadlines. I love
no
that.
deadlines.
Yes. Well,
Maybe a few self-inflicted, but none from somewhere else.
Exactly. So what are some of the biggest obstacles that you've faced throughout your creative career?
In gosh, probably the obvious money, right? I mean, that's probably been the hardest. I can't make a living. I have to pull it all together. I can't make a living just on one of the things that I do because I don't do it enough. And that's okay. Like, I don't make, one thing over and over that sells. I
think
like
that's
to
the
play.
majority of all of us,
Yeah.
all of us artists are kind of dipping our fingers into a little bit of everything.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's probably the biggest problem for me is, it's right. Actually, you know what, even more space. I got to say space is probably the hardest thing. I am crammed into this condo that I have. I mean, it's plenty big enough for one person, but I have art projects everywhere. And I get overwhelmed sometimes when I'm just looking around and it's just a pile of stuff for a painting right there, a pile of stuff, my glazes right there. But I don't have a place to go and deposit all this stuff. So.
I feel like I miss a designated space because I have removed that, and it's really sad. I know I have removed that little artist corner I had in my house for a long time, and I haven't had it, I guess, now for about a year. And I've been doing everything in like books and stuff and notebooks and putting it on the shelf. And I miss having like a little nook for it, and having all my paints out. And I definitely need to get back into that. That's a big challenge. Yes.
It really is. And like, I've got a good room, and if I enjoyed cleaning more than I do, which is not at all,
I'm
I probably
obsessive.
have.
I love to clean.
God, come over here and help. It's not dirty, right? It's just like, I need to put that box of DVDs away that's spilled out into the middle of the floor in that room. And I just don't need to. So I haven't done it. Yeah. Why do I even have a box of DVDs? But what do I do with them?
I know, dilemma. It's a problem.
It really is.
I have a set of DVDs I was actually looking at earlier. I was like, I actually have 3 or 4 of these movies already streaming, so why do I have these?
But then it's like, you don't want to, throwing away is not good. And then like, nobody's going to buy them. So what do you do? I mean, you can donate them to the Children's Museum. Digitize them, right? We do. We get a lot of donations at the Children's Museum of people's stuff. And we'll get a box full of DVDs because we can use the cases and we can use the CD object. Kids can do things with that kind of stuff. So we do get we got a bunch of VCR tapes and cassette tapes, and we've gotten it all.
Yeah. I think those are the fun though, because you can unwind them and kind of play with the film.
We've taken them apart. We've used the film as like hair, a wig.
The best part. I love that. So I had a couple more questions. So what's some of the best advice that you've ever been given throughout your career?
Oh, so when I was in pre-med 20 whatever years ago, an older friend, she was probably 2 years ahead of me, or maybe just 1. I can't remember. She said, she was an art major, and she said, we were in a bar. And she looks up and she's like, everything needs to be designed. Look at that. That was designed by somebody. And she was pointing to like the runner of, remember what the wallpaper strips at the top?
Yep. The band.
That's what it was.
Yeah. It was like the fruit patterns and stuff that were.
Yes. She's like, everything needs to be designed. And I'm like, you're right. I'm changing my major tomorrow.
I'm glad she did. That inspired your career, I can't imagine you in medical.
Oh, God. Otherwise, I mean, I would be miserable. And I think I had already been thinking about it anyway, but she's just kind of pushed me over the edge. So.
It's beautiful. I love that completely inspired your entire career. That one decision.
I should tell her.
You should be like, thank you.
Yes, I'll send her this whenever it goes out, and I'll be like, I'll talk about you at the end. So
shout out. Well, last question. What is some advice you would give to other artists in your industry? You know, what would you tell them that you've learned throughout the years?
So this actually would go towards anyone, right? But
Mhm.
this is the best advice that I can give because I'm so glad that I used this advice. Don't burn any bridges with
Mhm.
anyone
Mhm.
because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Mhm.
And if I had burned a bridge at a former workplace, I would not be where I am today.
We're all
Yeah,
human, you know. We
I
all
know.
have misunderstandings, and you know, we have our moments. You don't know what's going on in other people's life, and I love that. And always being able to connect with somebody, you know, no matter
Yeah,
what has happened in the past or what is going to happen in the
yeah.
future. You know, we can't read the future.
I mean, it's really not worth it. You can be so angry at that person, but just take a deep breath, go to therapy,
Yep.
but don't burn that bridge because
hmm
you might really need that person later.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's beautiful.
not
I love that.
yeah, need in a good way, not a bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, great advice. Great. Well, I
thank
appreciate
you.
you talking with me and all things creative in, you know, your entire career and your journey. And I really appreciate you letting us get to know about you.
Well, thank you, Cassie. It was so good to see you and talk to you, and I miss you,
Yes.
and we should catch up for
I
real.
know. I know. We'll have to,
I'm
once COVID-19 gets
We
gone.
got to dance. We got to go dance.
I know. I know. We'll have to find a middle ground meetings. We might have to meet in Memphis. There you go.
Yeah, let's do it.
I
Let's
haven't
do
been
it.
down. I haven't been down there in quite a while. I know.
I
I'm due
haven't
for a trip.
either. I haven't either. And it's a couple of my good friends moved away. And so, like, do I really want to go back? I'll go back for you. But otherwise, yeah,
Oh,
maybe
come
let's go.
on.
We'll go back when there's something good at the Dixon.
Yes, yes. Well, you'll have to send me lots of pictures of all of your new projects and your art that you
Okay.
want to show everybody, so we can kind
Okay.
of see what you've got cooking up in the oven for us. So definitely let us know, and I will share all of your links in the description below. Everyone,
Okay.
thank you so much for watching this episode. Make sure that you're following the Design Therapy on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and also visit the website at thedesigntherapy.co. And thank you so much. I'll see you around.
Thank you.
Bye.